little channel here, I've been covering Gundam and all my experiences getting into Gunpla as a new hobby for nearly 2 years now, which is wild because time certainly does fly, and also because often I still feel like a bit of a Gunpla newbie. But in truth, I've actually built a fair few kits now, from fun little ones which cost me less than a cup of coffee, to some of the biggest and most impressive that Bandai have to offer. However, even though at this point I feel like I've seen it all given my many years of building and painting model kits, occasionally I will stumble across something which blows my socks clean off. And yes, I'm here today because recently I finally managed to get my grubby little paws on a kit which has been at the very top of my wish list since I started this hobby, and which I got the feeling would end up nuking my dumb little Warhammer lovin' socks straight into low orbit. And of course, I'm making this video because, spoiler alert, I was 100% correct. And then some. Yay! So put your footwear somewhere safe and settle in, because this is my full review of the iconic real grade Eva Unit 01 model kit, which will take you from unboxing and building to my final thoughts on the entire experience and the finished figure itself. And I don't know about you guys, but I am way too excited to show all of you exactly what Bandai at their best just seem to be capable of these days when it comes to these crazy top of the line model kits. So let's go. Whoosh. Now, before we dive into the box, which I am very excited to do, I first want to say hello to you and welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for being here. But also, I kind of want to start doing some more Gunpla videos more often. You guys in the comment section of all my videos are always requesting more Gundam videos, and I really like making them too. It's a lovely little palette cleanser from my usual painting content. So if you'd like to see me do more of these build and review style videos, then let me know, and also let me know what kits you'd like to see me build as well, because I am hella into this hobby now, and I'm always looking for some more Gunpla kit recommendations. But yes, back to the good stuff, because this bad boy that we're cracking into today is the real grade Eva Unit 01 model kit from Bandai. Like most impossibly cool, talented, and handsome people out there, I am a massive fan of the anime Evangelion, and if you've never watched Evangelion, then please watch it, but only if you like sick, spindly mobile suits battling awesome angels and epic fights, and mothers and perpetually sad little humans breaking under the crushing weight of universal truths, but mostly incredible animated fight scenes and honestly maybe the best anime opening song of all time. I don't want to get a copyright strike, what? But back to the kit itself. Whilst the box and the branding and everything else about it, including the fact that it's labelled as a real grade like a Gundam model kit would be, this actually isn't a Gundam or even a Gunpla kit, because Evangelion and Gundam are two very different universes and franchises. So I think this kit is technically Eva-Pla or something like that, but I'm hardwired now to refer to it as Gunpla, so if I accidentally do that, please forgive me, my brain is stupid. Thank you. Anyways, the Eva-01, aka the Multi-Purpose Humanoid Decisive Weapon Artificial Human Evangelion Unit 01, Jesus Christ, is indeed an RG or real grade Bandai model kit, meaning that right away this box is telling me that this is gonna be something special, and I should expect some of the best and coolest mechanics, technology, and quality that Bandai has to offer. And right off the bat, I'm not afraid to admit, and I think it's important to admit for clarity, that this was quite an expensive kit, and I ended up paying $14,999 or £50 in the UK for this Eva. And whilst I know that we all like to have a laugh about how cheap Gundam is compared to Warhammer most of the time, this was still quite a lot of money for me to drop on one kit, and I think it is the most money I have ever spent on a Gundam kit ever. Maybe? Let me double check. So yeah, here we go. This is the Full Mechanics Gundam Aerial, which, as you can see, is pretty big and chunky and has a bunch of sprues inside, and is apparently quite a high-tech kit as well. And that cost me around £40 when I bought it, but I've not built it yet, so currently jury's out on how it'll compare. And also, I know I've built the PGU before, but I didn't pay for that. I won it in a competition, so yes, the Eva is probably the most I have ever spent on a Gundam kit yet. But given how different this kit is aesthetically, I'm really excited to see how it compares to all the experiences I've had with my Gundam kits. So let's crack right in. The box is pretty big and actually really deep and surprisingly heavy, and as usual it has some awesome artwork on the front, along with the kit's grade and some little pictures of the completed model in some neat poses on the sides as well. But right away when you open the box you can see why this box was so heavy and maybe why it's so expensive as well. This box contains a lovely thick full colour construction booklet, a small sticker sheet, and of course a whopping total of 13 sprues, or I guess in this case runners, some of which are a little more petite, but most of which are big, beefy, and densely packed with delightfully detailed parts. And right from my very first impressions when I opened up the box, I was so excited to build this kit purely because of how beautiful all the different colours and textures on the sprues were. There's obviously the classic purple and acid green, which makes this Eva suit and every other thing in the world which uses these colours so iconic, but then there's also some clear deep red pieces, some bright oranges, two different metallic tones, and of course the piece de resistance in this whole box, which is this absolute wacky warehouse of a runner right here. I have no idea what kind of plastic wizards they have in the Bandai factory these days, but this technology here absolutely blew my mind, because here we have these multicolored plastic parts which have been pre-assembled on the sprue. Like the Eva's horn here, which is my favourite bit. It's already all colour separated and put together without me having to do anything at all except clip it off the runner later on. And I am hella impressed seeing this in real life, and even looking at it up close, I still really can't work out how they did it. So bravo, Bandai! You stumped me. Been stumped. But after I had organised my many runners and pulled out the big boys to get the job done, it was time for me to comfy down and crack on with the build itself. As usual with a lot of Gunpla that I've built, the instructions guided me to start by assembling the miniature's torso, and also as usual the full colour instruction booklet was clear and simple, and yeah, TLDR is that Bandai do make great construction booklets. 10 out of 10 guys, well done. Like a lot of modern real grade kits, it seems like you build this model up part by part in layers, starting with what is known as the inner frame of the mobile suit. And certainly that was the case here, and I actually really love this process because it turns just building a model into a little bit of a journey into the source material, which helps you understand exactly what your mobile suit is just a little bit more. For example, it turns out that the little clear red part, which I was gushing over earlier, is actually our Eva's core, which is basically like the suit's primary organ, like a heart pretty much. And yes, when you fully assemble the torso, you cannot see this piece at all. Like, it's not even peeking out a little bit, but you know it's there because you got to put it in there. And now, having done so, you also understand a little bit more about the suit itself too, which I think is pretty damn rad. What else was rad was just how crazy detailed and fine all the layering was looking already. I especially love the spine pieces at the back and the layered silver underneath the main armor panels on the front, and of course the moving rocket launcher chest pieces as well. This kit was already looking pretty nice. Once I'd polished off the torso, it was time to move on to the headpiece, which is usually my favourite part of any kit, and certainly was in this case because I think it was the most impressive part of the entire build. I expected there to be maybe some stickers involved for some of the details like the eyes and maybe the tiny green part of the chin, but to my surprise it was entirely plastic colour separation. The depth of detail and layering detailing going on here was absolutely incredible, and the head came together amazingly. The very detailed, articulated, moving jaw and mouth with tiny little teeth details inside, as well as the level of movement his neck has, are particularly excellent features on this guy's head. And again, I want to emphasize, maybe for you Warhammer fans or maybe Gunpla newbies who are watching this video, that this whole kit is entirely push fit, as in I'm clipping it off the sprue and then pushing it together with my hands. There is no glue needed here at all. Moving on to the rest of the build, unsurprisingly, the legs went together great, with my favorite part again being just the almost unnecessary level of detail and posability on the feet especially. Like, the underside is all beautifully color separated and the toes are jointed as well for extra movement and everything. But yeah, I hadn't even fully assembled or built this guy yet, and I was already messing around with the articulation and having just the best time with this extremely bendy leg joint. Wild. The arms were also super cool and easy peasy to assemble as well, with these big pre-assembled parts being used on the biceps of the arms to create some instant color separation. I do, however, have a few tiny little gripes with the arm pieces on this kit, but I will get round to what those are when we do the full review and rundown of the kit a little bit later. But one thing I do want to shout out, which is a massive plus about this whole thing, is just the sheer amount of hand options that you get with this model. I've assembled Gundams with both fully posable hands and fingers and also just single piece hand options like the ones here. And whilst I think it's cool to have these hands with individually posable fingers, I quite like just having a single piece default posed hand. And I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, so let me know in the comments section which one you prefer, but I think that having a ton of sturdy pre-molded hand poses may be fast becoming my preferred option, and this kit certainly ticks that box wonderfully. After the last few pieces were assembled, like the weapon options and the shoulder blades, which again had some beautiful tiny little multicolored detailed areas which I just loved, it was time for one of the most time-consuming and sometimes frustrating parts of the entire build, which is applying all of the decals, which in this case weren't water slides but instead were stickers. Now, having built a few kits which use sticker sheets just like this, I'm a little bit on the fence about how I feel about stickers, and this isn't me saying like I hate them and I think they're terrible. I'm just not like 1000% sure I'm sold that they're the best thing in the world ever. When I built the RX-78-2 PGU, I was surprised that the kit came with stickers and not water slide decals, but honestly, on the dominantly white Gundam suit, the stickers looked absolutely fine, if not pretty damn good. But the Eva-01 has a bunch of colors and none of those are white, and I'm afraid that the sticker edges did show up a little bit more obviously on some of the plastics colored parts. On the stickers where the edges are kind of flush to the edge of the part, like on these little triangle areas here, it's a bit less noticeable and actually looks pretty good. But yeah, there were a few kind of peely corners and white cast areas, which honestly I'd rather do without. However, let's remember that obviously putting on stickers and decals and stuff like that is not a necessary step that you have to do to complete your Gundam or Eva-Pla kit. I just wanted to do it to kind of give the kit the full works and complete the whole thing as it came in the box. Despite my very mild takes though, I do think in this case it is worth applying them just for the amount of detail that they added to the kit. And like I said, a lot of them are cool, detailed, and barely noticeable, so I spent a couple of hours putting them all into place all over the suit and the weapons in order to finish it off, and I do think it did make it look a little bit better. So with the kit all put together and polished off, let's have a little play around and see what my final thoughts on the whole thing are. When I did my video about the RX-78-2 Perfect Grade Unleashed, I had a couple of categories which I used to break down and kind of rate the kit. And I am bringing those back so we can rate this model kit too, starting with how much fun I had building him and also how easy the build was as well. And for this guy, I think that is definitely a whopping 9 out of 10. Building this kit was an absolute delight, and it was actually one of the easiest builds I've ever done, and I don't even even mean like for a real grade. I mean like ever across all the grades and kits that I have built so far. The push fit was flawless, none of the build instructions confused me, and I didn't have to whip out my little part separation tool once. And on top of that, whilst the model kit is really high quality, the build itself actually isn't that big or complicated either. I'm someone who does love spending hours and hours or even days building and painting, but honestly, it was quite nice to see this whole model come together as quickly as it did. I ended up building him over a weekend, spending maybe 3 to 5 hours on him per day, so really nothing too intense, and perfect if you're a busy guy or busy lady with a busy life and you still want to build something that looks absolutely awesome. I did very begrudgingly knock just 1 point off this guy in this category, just because there are some of the parts of the build that aren't the sturdiest in the world, but that'll be more relevant in our next category. But yes, for general ease and fun to buildness, this guy is definitely one of the best I have ever come across. Congratulations. The next category is posability and durability, and for those I'm actually gonna give this kit a 7 out of 10, which feels kind of wrong and maybe a little bit mean, since this is undeniably such an amazing, cool, and very posable model. But unfortunately, as I was playing around with it and posing it, the hips and the bicep joints were just kinda screwing me around a little bit. The legs are attached to this circular joint piece, which is supposed to slot into the torso and spin round in order to lock the legs into position. But I found when I was moving the legs around for some action poses, this joint was kind of loosening and then ejecting the legs. So I ended up using just a little bit of plastic glue to keep the joint in place, which worked perfectly, and now the legs are exactly as I think they should be. As well as that, I don't think I really understand what seems to have gone wrong with my guy's upper arm pieces. When I tried to move the arms in a totally normal for most Gundam kits way, it caused the peg to kind of pop out, and then all of the armor panels would fall out all over the place like one of those little stacking children toys. But again, it was nothing that a tiny little bit of glue in just the right places didn't fix instantly, so I'm not mad at all. Sometimes these kits just need a little bit more love to get them just right. But once I'd locked those areas into place, this kit's posability is very, very good. The head, neck, and even face parts have amazing articulation, and the legs and the arms can bend it like crazy. I do, however, need to find a stand which is big enough for him because he's a little bit too tall for all of my usual high grade and real grade stands. There's not a huge amount of hip movement though compared to other Gunpla kits, and the wrist joints are a touch limited, but honestly, as I was picking poses and moving them into those poses, I didn't really find this hindering me at all. So yes, overall, a fantastic kit to play around and pose up with. The next category is the model's overall aura and aesthetic value, and I think it would be really difficult not to score this guy extremely highly in this category, so he is getting a solid 9 out of 10. Because just look at him, he is so cool. Obviously, as an Evangelion fan myself, maybe I'm just a little bit biased here, but I don't know, you can't deny that this guy really stands out, especially amongst all my other mech and Gundam suits too. The colours are crazy vibrant, the proportions are weird and eye-catching, and yeah, I just love the suit's design so much. It's definitely my favourite Eva suit. And it's probably why I like the new G-Quox model so much as well, because their anime series was produced by the same studio who did Evangelion, which kind of accounts for all the awesome stylistic similarities and the sort of weird, janky silhouettes of these mobile suits. But yes, just 1 point off in this category because some of the stickers are just a little bit noticeable, but overall this is just an incredible looking display model for your shelf or cabinet or wherever you want to keep him really. The final category is extra bits, which are all of the little things included in the kit outside of the main build, which are kind of little bonuses and which help you do alternative poses and things like that. And this kit has quite a few really nice ones, so I'm giving it a big old 8 out of 10. First of all, like I mentioned before, there are a lot of lovely hand options, which all make for some nice distinctive poses. And along with that, you also get this awesome gas pump looking pilot delivery system, which clips right into the back of the Eva's spine, which I think is such a cool little detail that they added in. Along with that, of course, there are some very sick weapon options too, as usual, with my favourites being these little flip knives. The knives are pretty sick on their own, but the coolest part is that you can actually hide them inside of the shoulder pads here, and you'd never even know they were there. And yes, I did play with this feature here for like a solid 15 minutes, because it is dope as hell. There's also, of course, the Eva-01's massive gun, but one thing that I would have loved for this kit to have included is, of course, the Spear of Longinus. It's just such an iconic weapon, and I think that that bright red would have looked amazing with the rest of the colours, and all the poses would have been so good, and I think I may just have to 3D print my own, because I really do think it would have taken this kit to just the next level. So truthfully, having built, posed, and now played with this guy for a very long time now, my final thoughts on this kit are that I do think it's absolutely amazing and officially well worth its price tag. Even if you've never seen the anime or you're a little bit new and maybe Gunpla curious, I would really recommend picking this kit up and giving it a whirl, because it was such a great experience from start to finish, and the end result is fun to pose and beautiful to have on display as well. And if you are a little bit new to these kind of model kits, I do think that this one is such a great example of Bandai's model technology, and it may be a bit of a mind-blowing experience for you, which is super rewarding and won't take you an intimidating amount of time to complete as well. I really enjoyed building this kit and making this video where I do a bit of a deeper dive into the model and the whole experience, and then I share it with you guys. It was really good fun, and again, if you want to see me do more of these unboxing and Gunpla kit reviews, please let me know, and again, also give me some recommendations for kits you would like to see me build on my channel, because I'm always looking for more. But I'm afraid that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thank you for being rogues. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Bye bye. Bye.